Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we're talking all about maximizing impact in everyday conversations.
Yeah, using just your words.
Your words, that's right.
So we're going to be taking a deep dive into a guide today called 15 Great Things to Say in Everyday Conversations for Guaranteed Success.
Okay,
Oh.
guaranteed success, huh?
I know, right?
A little bit much.
That title, it's it's a lot.
Can we really transform our communication with just a few phrases?
Well, that's what we're going to be exploring today, right?
Yeah, is this a bunch of BS or is this actually something?
Well, the guide focuses on simple positive phrases to build stronger connections, make conversations more enjoyable and productive.
I can see how that makes sense.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that run the risk of sounding insincere?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like we're just reading from a script.
Yeah, you don't want to sound robotic or anything.
Right.
But it's more about the intention behind the words.
Okay.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
When someone asks you, how are you today? But you can tell they're not really listening. It feels impersonal, right?
Cold.
So it's all about being present in the moment.
Okay, so you're saying like...
Contact, listen attentively, be genuinely curious.
So it's not the words themselves. It's more about just being an active listener.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the guide suggests phrases like, that's a great point, or could you tell me more about that?
So just acknowledging what someone is saying can go a long way.
Yeah, it shows you're not just waiting for your turn to speak, you're
Right.
actually engaged.
It makes them feel heard.
Yeah, and that can deepen the connection between people.
You know, that actually reminds me of a conversation I had recently with a friend who was telling me about their trip to Italy.
Oh, nice.
And they mentioned something that just sounded really interesting.
Okay.
And I just said, could you tell me more about that?
Yeah.
And it just opened up this whole conversation.
And what happened?
It was amazing. They just lit up and told me all these incredible details about food, the art, the people they met. It went from like a simple exchange to like this really memorable conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I really think that just that one question just like made all the difference.
Yeah, so a well-placed question can unlock a treasure trove of information.
That's a great way to put it, a treasure trove.
Yeah.
But I do want to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay, sure.
Couldn't these phrases also be used manipulatively?
Yeah, you're...
But what if someone is just trying to sound more likable to get something they want?
Well, I think most people are pretty good at detecting when someone is being fake.
Okay, so authenticity is key here.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we've talked about active listening, asking engaging questions.
Yes.
But the guide also talks about validation and appreciation. Things like, I appreciate your help, or I trust your judgment.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Those convey a deeper level of respect, right?
Yeah, like you're acknowledging the other person's expertise.
Their autonomy. So again, it's not just saying the words, it's about understanding the deeper impact of those words.
Absolutely.
Like when you tell someone, I trust your judgment, it really empowers them.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said that to you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What happened?
I remember when I was trying to choose between two job offers,
Oh, wow, yeah.
and one of my mentors said those exact words to me, and it really gave me the confidence to make a decision.
So simple words can have a profound impact.
Totally.
But do you ever find it awkward to use these phrases?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
And that's where I think practice comes in.
absolutely.
It's not about becoming a robot.
No.
It's about incorporating these phrases into our natural communication style.
Right, and I think that's what makes this so fascinating. We're not just learning a set of magic words.
Right.
We're actually exploring human interaction.
Okay, so we've talked about active listening,
Yeah.
asking engaging questions, expressing validation and appreciation. Seems like we're building a foundation for better conversations.
They are.
Now, as we move forward, we're going to be getting into empathy and support. And I'm curious to hear if any of these ideas resonate with you so far.
Yeah, me too. Have you had any experiences where a simple phrase made a difference in a conversation?
You know, that's a great question, and I'm sure our listeners have some stories to share as well, but we'll have to save that for later. So we talked about active listening, asking insightful questions, and expressing validation. But I'm curious about offering empathy and support.
Yeah, for sure. And the guide highlights phrases like, I completely understand. That must have been difficult. And I'm proud of you.
You know, I can see how those phrases can be really helpful, but I'm also wary of saying, I completely understand.
Yeah.
When I don't fully grasp what someone is going through.
Yeah. I totally get it.
It almost feels presumptuous.
It's about acknowledging their feelings, even if you can't relate to their specific situation.
Okay, so it's more about validating their emotions than claiming to have walked in their shoes.
Exactly.
I think sometimes we're so afraid of saying the wrong thing that we end up saying nothing at all.
Yeah, and silence can sometimes be interpreted as indifference.
Right.
Even a simple phrase like, "I'm here for you," can be incredibly powerful.
You know, that phrase reminds me of a time when I was going through a really tough breakup, and a friend of mine just sat with me and listened patiently.
Oh, wow.
And at one point she just said, "I'm here for you."
And how did that make you feel?
You know, it was so simple, but it meant the world to me.
It's a reminder that you're not alone in your struggles.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting is that empathy actually has a neurological basis.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that empathy isn't just a feeling?
No.
It's an actual phenomenon.
Yeah, our brains actually mirror the emotions that we see.
So when we see someone experiencing an emotion, our brains are kind of experiencing that same emotion.
On a neurological level, yeah.
That's fascinating.
And that's why expressions of empathy can be so powerful in building trust.
So we're literally on the same wavelength.
Yeah, you could say that.
Now I'm wondering, can we train ourselves to become more empathetic?
You know, research suggests that we can.
Wow. So by using these phrases,
Uh-huh.
we're not just improving our communication, but actually rewiring our brains?
It's a win-win.
And now that I think about it, the title of this guide, Guaranteed Success, still feels strong, but I can see how using these phrases consistently can lead to more positive outcomes.
Well, the success isn't about getting what you want from every conversation.
Right.
It's about having healthier relationships and becoming a better communicator.
Well, the guide also talks about compliments and encouragement.
Oh, yeah.
Phrases like, "You're really good at that. You handled that really well. You've made a lot of progress."
Those are great examples, but just like we talked about earlier, authenticity is key.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be genuine in your praise.
No backhanded compliments
No.
or forced compliments.
Yeah, and you also want to tailor the compliment to the person you're talking to.
That's a good point. Some people don't like to be praised publicly.
They might find it embarrassing. So it's all about reading the room.
I'm thinking about the phrase, "You've made a lot of progress."
Uh-huh.
That one seems really effective when someone's working hard to improve.
It acknowledges their effort and encourages them to keep going.
Exactly like when you were first learning to play the piano.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you play the piano?
I dabble. I'm certainly no concert pianist.
But you remember struggling with a difficult piece.
Yeah, and my teacher said to me, "You've made a lot of progress."
Yeah.
It kept me motivated to keep practicing.
So it's those little moments that can make a big difference.
Right. Whether it's learning a new skill, navigating a personal challenge, or just getting through a tough day.
So communication isn't just about conveying information.
No.
It's also about building connections,
Yeah.
fostering trust,
Uh-huh.
and inspiring each other.
Exactly.
So the 15 phrases for guaranteed success might not guarantee success,
Uh-huh.
but it highlights how small changes in our communication can have a big impact.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about active listening, empathy, compliments.
We have.
But there's one last piece of the puzzle I want to discuss, and that's practice.
Yeah, practice is essential, just like any skill.
We're not going to magically become master conversationalists overnight.
No, it takes time and effort.
So it's about incorporating these phrases into our daily lives.
Yeah, what if you picked one or two phrases from the guide each week?
I love that idea.
And just focus on using them.
It's like a little experiment.
It is.
And who knows, maybe by the end of this deep dive, our listeners will have their own set of phrases that they like to use.
That would be great, because ultimately the goal is to use language in a way that feels authentic to you.
So what are some of the phrases that you personally find most effective?
Well, I'm a naturally curious person,
Mhm.
so I often find myself using phrases like, well, like I was saying, I'm a naturally curious person.
Right.
So I often find myself using phrases like, "Tell me more about that," or "That's really interesting, could you elaborate?"
I like those.
It helps me stay engaged and learn more about the other person.
And it shows that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say.
Exactly.
So it's like we're not just talking at each other. We're actually having a dialogue.
We're building that connection.
I love it. And I think that's what makes communication so fascinating.
It's complex.
It's this dance between listening, speaking, understanding, and responding.
It's more than just words.
It's about creating a space where both people feel comfortable and respected.
So when we use phrases like "the ones in this guide," We're setting the stage for more authentic and meaningful conversations.
Yeah, and I think that's a much better definition of guaranteed success.
It's not about manipulating people.
Right.
It's about fostering genuine connections.
And I think that's something we can all strive for.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this exploration of everyday phrases,
What are some key takeaways that our listeners can implement in their own lives?
well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that we all have the power to make a positive impact through our words.
I agree with that.
It's not about being a perfect communicator.
Yeah.
It's about being mindful and present in our interactions.
And being willing to practice.
Exactly. And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning.
It is.
The real learning happens when we start putting these ideas into practice.
And I have a feeling that if we all make a conscious effort to use our words more thoughtfully,
We can create a ripple effect of positivity.
and that's something worth striving for.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep those conversations flowing and those connections strong.